so absurdly remote that the only thing to do is to say hang the sense of it and keep yourself busy. I'd much rather be happy than right any day.
And are you?
No.
It's coming right at us!
Okay. Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Let's try that again. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh my God!
I can't take it no more!
Oh, hi there. My name is Prostetnik Vogon Jeffs, and in this video, I'm talking about me.
My name is Jeff.
Well, more specifically, I'm talking about my first video, a beginner's guide on how to make great videos. That's right, my first video was a video about how to make great videos.
Sheer f***ing hubris.
I'm doing something a little different today. I'm splitting this into two parts. First, I'm going to revisit a beginner's guide and look at what I got right and what I got wrong. And in the second part of the video, I'm going to show you my creative process.
Would you like to see?
Is it arrogant and overconfident to make an instructional video about making successful videos when you've yet to make a successful video? Yeah, hello. Of course it is. That was kind of the joke. Is it ironic that it wasn't a successful video in and of itself? You bet. I think I actually checked off 2 out of 3 kinds of irony with that one.
We're big on irony around here.
Looking back at that thing, I mean, wow. I can barely watch it. Almost everything about my productions has improved. I mean, the thing barely feels like something I would make. And yeah, I can absolutely see why someone would look at that instructional and be like,
I'm not listening to this guy. What the hell does he know?
but here's the thing. I actually did the legwork and analyzed a bunch of content to create a structured plan.
Research and development. Putting in the man hours to study the science of what you need.
And as it turns out, I was right about almost everything.
It must be nice to always believe you know better.
So let's take a look at all of my suggestions and see how right I was. I started the video off by talking about how it's important to learn how to do your own research and not overthink the process. I touched on the concept of analysis paralysis, which is basically just overthinking things to the point where zero progress is achieved. And while the doing your own research thing isn't super important to a lot of video producers or content creators who just vomit nonsense to no end, the whole don't overthink it thing is 100% spot on. At the end of the day, if you're going to make great videos, you actually have to make them. You can't just plan and plan and plan forever. Kind of a logical continuation of the first point, but there's merit to it regardless. You can't start at the finish line. You have to do the work. Obvious? Yeah. Redundant? Sure. But that doesn't change the fact that most people fail because they just aren't willing to show up consistently. Or they get discouraged when the audience isn't there for their efforts. Most likely because they are making something for someone else instead of for themselves. Most people can sniff out inauthentic shit a mile away. If you're trying to be someone else, if you're trying to make content for someone else, people know. And if you're not doing this for yourself, you're going to be miserable. And on top of that, like I mentioned in my first video, developing a thick skin is crucial. Holy shit! You have no idea how necessary it is. I was expecting some negativity with my videos. It's the internet, and I have opinions.
No!
So naturally, people are going to despise me for that. I've had people outright say they hate me. I've been insulted. I've been called names. Some folks out there are downright vicious. So learn how to take it on the chin, or learn how to use those block and mute functions, or both. I've muted the shit out of dozens of people, and I'm sure I'll mute many more in the coming years. Now, I had an issue with this one in the original video. I had done some research and found a ton of channels that pushed the idea that you had to prioritize titles and thumbnails above all else. These are key elements for getting people to click on your video. So obviously they are super important. And that might be the case. I still don't know about this one. I've been lazy about experimenting with it on my own videos. I just use the titles I want to use and I make the thumbnails I want to use. I'm sure there's something to this.
Really?
After a year of posting stuff, I have a sneaking suspicion I'm doing this one wrong. But not with this one. Outside of doing it for yourself, this is the most important step. You have to know who you're talking to. This will help you establish your niche and consequently attract and build a core audience. That doesn't mean catering to them, but it does mean knowing what they're looking for. After telling everyone to experiment with different interests in the first video, I immediately stumbled into my niche with my second upload. I made a video comparing the 80s Roadhouse movie to the 2024 remake. It got such a good reaction compared to my first video, and I had such a fun time making it that I knew where to focus my efforts moving forward. But I wasn't going to just say what I thought people wanted to hear. I made a point of reviewing movies the way I wanted to review them. I had been hearing about content creator burnout for years, so I knew when I started out that I needed to develop systems to avoid it. And so far it's worked out pretty well. If you're going to be consistent with your uploads, this is a super important step. I'll skip the details for now, as the second half of this video is pretty much all about my system and how it helps me produce efficiently and effectively. Speaking of efficiency and efficacy, it's key to understand that your viewers have busy lives and can't be bothered with boring crap. You need to grab their attention right off the bat and convince them that your video is worth watching. If you insist on being boring, be boring at the end of your video, not at the beginning. F***ing duh. A smarter version of me would look at the modest success of my review videos compared to all the other stuff I've produced, like this video I'm sure, and decide to only do reviews of current movies. That's the logical thing to do. But if I did that, I'd be breaking the rule about doing it for myself. I have other types of videos I want to make. Some won't get as much interest. That's fine by me. You'll have to decide whether it's fine for you or not. But on the whole, the notion of analyzing results and trying to make improvements over time holds true. You need to keep coming out to play. You need to develop consistency and a motivation to improve over time. I brought up the 1% rule in my first video, the idea that with each new production, each new upload, I would try to improve just a little bit. This remains true and is one of the most important rules across every single profession. Show up, get better. Show up again, get even better. Do that, and it's only a matter of time before people take an interest.
That's positive thinking.
So those were the main points I brought up about a year ago in my first video. And if you're looking to make your own videos, I'd say they all remain fairly important tips. But don't take my word for it. Go out and find other creators and see what they do. Do your research. And in an effort to add a bit more substance to the discussion, I'm now going to show you my step-by-step process for creating videos. Alright, well, let's start with what my channel is all about. I opted to make videos about movies because 1, I love movies. 2, I have an educational background and experience in related fields. Blah, blah, blah. And 3, I had an idea for how to execute these productions with a somewhat original take. So I've got the motivation and background to at least be able to take a stab at it. But that's just the first step. Like I mentioned previously, I needed a process to help me create consistently and improve on a regular basis. This is what I set up. Seems pretty basic, eh? That's because it is. My videos contain a significant section that focuses on summarizing the movie in question. I hate repeating clips in my stuff, so that means I generally have to wait until a movie is available digitally so that I can purchase it legally without the use of any pirate software whatsoever. I don't know what you're thinking, but everything is 100% on the up and up and totally not illegal in any way, shape, or form. Now that that's out of the way, let's get to work. I do most of my work in Adobe Premiere Pro, and before you ask, yes, I do hate Adobe. I think they are the devil in corporate form. But as a former graphic designer, it's what I know. I'm in the process of looking for alternatives, drop a comment with your suggestions, but finding a suite of tools that can handle audio production, animation, video editing, and vector design, well, not so easy for an old dog.
Well, couldn't have said it better myself.
Anyway, where was I? Right, okay, let's drop the file into Premiere Pro. I'll take notes on my first viewing, but only for things that really stand out. I reserve most of my analysis for this step. After importing the movie into my editing software, I watch the movie again while trying to identify act breaks, clips that I can perform against, and elements worth addressing. I write out the main story beats of the movie in point form, along with any other bits of information that feel relevant to the review. And then I spend an ungodly amount of time chopping the file into short chunks to be used during the editing process.
You too!
I think...
From here, it's time to write the script. I use Google Docs, but you can use pretty much anything. It really doesn't matter. Use whatever you're comfortable with. It's at this point that I take all of those point form notes and turn them into a script. I'm helped along by a template that I created, which has evolved and will continue to evolve over time. It's nothing special, but it helps organize my thoughts and keeps a fairly consistent framework. And I don't do rewrites or more than a couple revisions during this step, so it's important that I cover the things I want to cover. Having a template makes it easier to cross the I's and dot the T's, if you know what I mean. Once I'm happy with the script, okay, maybe that's not the right word. Once I'm
okay, we show flowers and okay, we have to have the court case. I was mutated as a baby. That's funny. Okay, we open at the beginning of time. No, okay.
Crazy white man!
With the script, I move over to Adobe Audition. This is what's known as a DAW, or a digital audio workstation. I could easily record my script directly in Premiere Pro, but I like using Audition because I spent most of my time in university using it for audio production, and I'm just used to it. You can use whatever software you're comfortable with. I record my script using a Rode NT USB microphone with a pop filter. It gets the job done. It's a great and fairly inexpensive mic. After the script has been recorded, it's time to clean it up. I spend about an hour going through and cutting out dead air and bad line deliveries, creating something that flows quickly and smoothly. A couple adjustments to normalize levels, and we're all done. The audio file is then taken over to Adobe Character Animator. This step can be fairly straightforward or fairly complex, depending on how many characters I have in my video. I start by creating a lip sync with my audio file, and follow that up with a run-through to create head and eye movement, along with a run for animating other character elements like arm movement. Once my puppets have been exported, I bring them over into Premiere Pro. Over time, I've built a library of clips, stock images and elements, original graphics, and original elements. I use these to build out my shows in the same way I use a template to build out my scripts. Once I have everything in more or less the right spot, the real work begins. The editing. The editing. I've got a real love-hate relationship with this stage of the production. I hate it, and I love to hate it. Kidding. But it is an arduous task, and I'm always relieved when it's done. After reviewing the video, adding in final touches, or fixing random things, it's time to export the final file. Premiere kinda sucks at this, so sometimes I have to do it a couple times while crossing my fingers and knocking on wood. Eventually it works out and I have a video file ready to upload, which can take a while. So while I'm waiting, I prep my video description. And no joke, this process can take a while. So this is also when I design my thumbnail in Adobe Illustrator. Again, I've built up a collection of elements that help me do this rather quickly. I find a still image from the movie I'm reviewing and toss in one of my elements and
Bing, 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 bang, popcorn.
a new video ready to hit the channel. Well, that's all I've got for now. Thanks for sticking around till the end. Hopefully, if you're thinking of getting into video production, my tips and behind-the-scenes process stuff is of some use to you.
Oh, I wish. That'd be so great.
And if you're not planning on making videos, well, hopefully you still found this entertaining and insightful.
Oh. Never mind.
If you have any questions or suggestions, be sure to drop a comment. Thanks for watching. See you next time.